afternoon and welcome to the third staging of the public sector debate competition. Welcome to those joining us on our social media platforms. I am Tamika Gunmighty, Communication Specialist within the Transformation Implementation Unit. Today we have with us debating on the proposition side the Agro-Invest Corporation, and they'll be debating with the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, and their moot will be it resolved that media entities should publicly declare their political allegiance. I repeat, be it resolved that media entities should publicly declare their political allegiance. Should be an exciting one. So let's get started. I will invite Team Proposition to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Joey James here, team captain.
Good afternoon. My name is Fiona Danvers Bailey, second speaker.
Good afternoon. Kevin Crooks. I'm the reply speaker.
Thank you so very much, Agro-Invest. Let's invite Team Statin to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Aisha Pine, Team Statin.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Deidre Scott, the second speaker for Team Statin.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Senior. I'll be the replying speaker.
Thank you so much, Team Statin. Our adjudicators for today's match are members of the Jamaica Association for Debating and Empowerment, JADE. Ladies and gentlemen, let them introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Tamika. My name is Jermaine Barrett. I'm the chief adjudicator for this competition, and today I'll be operating in the capacity as the chair adjudicator.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Curtis Wallace, and I'm a wing adjudicator in this match.
Pleasant afternoon, everyone. The name is Javon Downey, and I'll also serve as a wing adjudicator.
Thank you so very much, judges. Teams are familiar with the rules, so I'll turn over to the judges. All the best to you, teams.
Thank you again, Tamika. All right, so we are ready to get our match started. You are familiar with the rules, but in case you've forgotten, certainly the rules relating to speaker times, I'll just go through those quickly. The first speaker will speak for 7 minutes, the second speaker 6 minutes, the third speaker, no, not third speaker, at the end of the second opposition speech, we'll pause for a period of cross-questioning for 5 minutes for each team, and then we will conclude the debate with the pair of reply speeches. Importantly, in the first speakers and second speakers, you have what are called protected times. So the first and last minute of your speech is protected, and then in terms of the cross-questioning, we're going to be allowing questions asked for 20 seconds maximum, and responses to those questions will not exceed 45 minutes. Of note, of course, as well, 45 seconds, apologies. Good to note that you're listening. All right, and then the final substantive speeches in this debate, the reply speeches, those are allotted 5 minutes, but not including, or no points of information will be permitted during that period. Okay? All right, so at this time, I call upon the first speaker from the proposition team to open the debate. Hear, hear.
Let me know when you're ready to begin. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, respectable opponents, and those that are joining us online, good afternoon. Be it may, and be it resolved, that the Jamaican proverb, two face can't hold under one hat, reiterates the mood today. Be it resolved that media entities should publicly declare their political allegiance. Media is often referred to as the fourth pillar of democracy, alongside the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, as preferred by Maynard and Patel, and later by Singh. Media entities thus play a crucial role in upholding democratic principles and ensuring transparency and accountability in governance. In democratic societies like Jamaica, the media wields considerable influence, serving as a conduit through which information flows to the public. The Jamaican media landscape is expansive relative to our population size, with over 20 radio stations and 3 free-to-air television stations, many of which have cable affiliations, rebroadcasting selecting programming from primary outlets. Our local media scene therefore offers a diverse range of channels for information consumption. Similar to other countries in the world, the role of media entities in Jamaica is to inform, educate, and to provide a platform for debate. However, when media entities harbor undisclosed political allegiance, they risk undermining the very principles they are meant to uphold as the fourth pillar of democracy. It is pivotal to debate. We confront a fundamental question of democratic governance to reiterate, be it resolved that media entities should declare their political allegiance. This inquiry, while seemingly straightforward, delves into the very essence of democracy and a vital role in which the media operates within. Firstly, let us deliberate on the principle of transparency, a cornerstone of trust in democratic society. Transparency in the media is not a mere virtue, but necessity. When media entities openly declare their political leanings, they empower the public to critically evaluate the information they receive. Such candor ensures that the audience is cognizant of potential biases, fostering a more informed and discerning consumption of news. In an era where misinformation proliferates, clarity is not just beneficial, it is imperative. A recent study conducted aimed at discerning the implications of media slant meticulously examined news articles from 160 US media outlets. This examination reveals significant political biases in their coverage of the COVID vaccine. From this study, it was further brought to the fore how the document bias exacerbated vaccine hesitancy and resistance, complicating the public health efforts and deepening societal divisions. If these media entities had declared their political allegiances, the public could have better understood the underlying motivations behind their coverage. Such awareness would have allowed for a more nuanced and informed decision-making, ultimately serving a greater good for promoting a unified approach to public health measures. The second point I wish to address today pertains to the notion that the disclosure of political allegiances cultivates a more robust and healthier democratic discourse. In a democracy, these diverse viewpoints are the lifeblood of public debate. According to Stromberg et al., and I quote, in democratic societies, trust in the media plays an important role for citizens. Using and trusting the media are important for a prerequisite for a functioning democratic society, which the needs of the citizens who make informed decisions. End quote. Media entities therefore play a significant role in shaping the beliefs and positions of our society. Thus, by openly declaring their political affiliations, media entities contribute to a pluralistic media environment where various perspectives are presented transparently. Thus, this plurality is crucial for a well-rounded public discourse, allowing individuals to access and evaluate different viewpoints before forming their own opinions. Ladies and gentlemen, our opponents might argue that such declarations could lead to polarization. However, we contend that the current state of hidden biases is far from detrimental. In conclusion, the resolution that media entities should declare their political allegiance is one that seeks to fortify the pillars of transparency, accountability, and democratic discourse. It is a step towards an informed society where trust in the media can be restored and where public can navigate the vast landscape of information with greater clarity and discernment. Let us embrace transparency and trust. Let us endorse the resolution for a betterment of our society and the enrichment of our democracy. I thank you.
Thank you very much for that speech opening our debate. We now call upon the first speaker from the opposition team to open the case on behalf of that side of the House. Hear, hear.
Good afternoon, esteemed judges, worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Team Statin stands resolute against media entities declaring their political allegiance. This is a crucial issue, as media, politics, and public trust are central to this discussion. In every democratic society, the media plays a crucial function as the fourth estate, providing information, acting as a watchdog over political parties, all while giving a voice to the voiceless. Therefore, only an impartial media can act in the public's interest. Because of this, a media entity's mission and credibility will be jeopardized if they declare their political allegiance. In May 2024, the World Press Freedom Index ranked Jamaica 24 out of 180 nations globally for providing a press-free environment that ensured journalists and media outlets produced and disseminated news in the public's interest, free from political, economic, social, and legal restraint. In this regard, Jamaica is #1 in the Caribbean and outperformed the United States, who ranked 55 in World Press standing. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we not only outperform the United States and the Caribbean in athletics, but also in freedom of the press and journalistic safety. This is because we are resolute that press freedom is the lifeblood of democracy and the guardian of collective conscience. Let me point out that state-controlled nations such as Russia frequently fail to hold governments accountable due to an overly partisan media, resulting in a lack of accountability and transparency. On the other hand, democratic countries like Norway, who top the World Press Index, do not require media entities to declare their political allegiance. They instead promote a media environment that fosters media independence, integrity, and transparency. Unquestionably, this is the model Jamaica must imitate. Therefore, in furtherance of our unwavering stance that media entities should not declare their political allegiance, I will address 3 points. The need to prevent the destruction of business viability and profitability for the media, the need for transparency and impartiality, the need to maintain democracy and our constitutional right to free speech. My worthy teammate and second speaker will highlight and bring clarity to the obligation to protect the safety of our journalists, the risk to the media, as well as media and audience polarization. Our third speaker will round out our deliberations and a firmer stance on the Moot. Now, in support of Team Statin's unwavering position that media entities should not declare their political allegiance, allow me to draw your attention to the fact that forcing media entities to do so will negatively impact the profitability and viability of their businesses. Media entities rely mainly on subscriptions and advertising for revenue, we will see a decline in this, and alienation of a segment of their audience will prove detrimental, thereby compromising the media entities' essential role in democracy and their production of quality, unbiased journalism due to financial strains. Secondly, for reasons of transparency and impartiality, media entities should not declare their political allegiance. Instead, they must remain unbiased when reporting on issues, policies, and programs. To declare allegiance will signal prejudice, skew newsworthy coverage, and shape public perception inaccurately. This will make it difficult for the public to discern facts from opinions in the interests of our democracy. I ask you to consider, for example, our sister country, Haiti, and the case of Mr. Jean-Dominique, whose career in journalism was marked by his unyielding commitment to truth, justice, and democracy in the Haitian society. Mr. Dominique was a steadfast advocate for journalistic transparency, objectivity, and impartiality. His work exposed human rights abuses at the highest level of government, but he refused to compromise in his duty as a journalist. His death in 2000 silenced his voice, but not his mission. For this reason, Jamaican journalists, like John Dominique, should not declare political allegiance for the sake of journalistic transparency, objectivity, and impartiality, as this will lead to a compromised state. Thirdly, to maintain democracy and constitutional rights to free speech in Jamaica, media entities should not declare their political allegiance, as to do so would affect media independence and integrity, potentially influencing editorial decisions and eroding free speech. The media's role in holding power accountable should never be compromised. Let me remind you of the political scandal involving the then Minister of Education and the Caribbean Maritime University's president. This is one instance where unbiased investigative journalism by media entities would have given Jamaicans the news unshielded and from all angles. Ladies and gentlemen, the need for an environment where the media operates minus political, social, economic, and legal interference cannot be overemphasized. Team Statin stands resolute. Media entities should not declare political allegiance. We fervently believe this will compromise democracy, deepen social divisions, and undermine transparency. Instead, we advocate for upholding Jamaica's constitutional rights to freedom of the press and unbiased reporting. I thank you.
We thank you very much for that speech, opening the case for team opposition. We go now to the proposition team again, this time though to hear from their second speaker. Hear, hear.
Esteemed judges, ladies and gentlemen, our respected opponents, and of course our audience online. The mood for our debate, as stated before, be it resolved, the media entities should publicly declare their political allegiance. We, the affirmative team, believe that that statement is true. My opponents would have spoken a while ago about the credibility, the fear of declaring, but in my speech, we will be discussing the importance of declaring this information in order to ensure that there will be honesty and transparency in the medias. Expounding on the main points made by our first speaker, in a democratic society, media plays a crucial role as the fourth estate, responsible for informing the public, fostering debate, and holding those in power accountable. In Jamaica, where the political landscapes often polarized and deeply rooted, the question of whether the media entity should declare their political allegiance is particularly pertinent. This is further supported by media houses being the primary source of political information, compared to other sources such as digital media. There are several compelling reasons why declarations could benefit the Jamaican media landscape, such as enhancing transparency and improving public trust. Transparency in media operation fosters trust amongst the audience. When readers, viewers, and listeners know the political leanings of a media outlet, they can better interpret the news and opinions presented to them. This knowledge allows the audience to critically evaluate the information they receive, understanding the potential biases that may influence reporting. In Jamaica, where political affiliations can significantly impact societal narratives and opinions, undisclosed biases may lead to misinformation or distrust. By openly declaring their political stance, media entities will build a relationship of honesty and integrity with their audience. This transparency is particularly crucial in a time when media trust is wavering globally due to proliferation of fake news and partisan reporting. In Latin America and the Caribbean region, Jamaica is top 3 for lack of trust in the media. Lack of trust. Furthermore, the population has the highest perception of a media controlled by few economic actors. This indicates that the trust needs to be rebuilt, and media entities being honest and transparent about their political affiliation would be the first step. Moreover, there's already exceptionally low trust in society, as less than 10% of the population trust their fellow citizens or institutions. Media houses will garner respect by being forthright about their underlying narrative. Declaring political allegiance also promotes accountability among media entities. When a media house openly states its political stance, it commits to a certain level of scrutiny and responsibility in its reporting. This declaration acts as a safeguard against unethical journalism, as the public can hold the media accountable for any perceived partiality or misinformation. Integrity and accountability are essential for the trust in the media, as it's an industry as it's predicated on honesty and truth. In a recent article, Jamaica Observer would have featured attorney at law Walter Scott, who pointed out that other democratic countries such as the USA, Canada, and Britain have endorsed political parties and candidates for elections, and inquired why wouldn't Jamaica follow suit? There is no constitutional breach. It was further noted that Section 21, subsection 2 of the Broadcasting and Radio Rediffusion Act includes a specific provision that requires equal time for political broadcasts under certain conditions. Beyond this, there is no legal requirement for balance, allowing media hosts to choose a side. In Jamaica, a healthy media environment could encourage media entities to present balanced information, and even if it aligns with their political beliefs. This knowledge could deter propaganda, promote ethical journalism. Public discourse improves when media allegiances are known, enabling informed debates and informed decision-making. Undisclosed biases can contribute to polarization and misinformation. Finally, the declaration of political allegiance can encourage a more diverse media landscape. This could lead to the emergence of a new media entities that cater to the different political viewpoints, enriching the media ecosystem. When media consumers are aware of the political affiliations of existing outlets, there may be increased demand for alternative perspectives, leading to the establishment of new dependent media voices. In conclusion, the declaration of political allegiance by media entities in Jamaica is a practice that would hold significant benefits. It enhances transparency and trust, promotes accountability and ethical journalism, improves public discourse, reduces polarization and misinformation, and encourages media diversity. For these reasons, it is a practice that media entities in Jamaica should take seriously and consider adopting to foster a more informed, engaged, and democratic society. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Second speaker from the proposition team, Team Agro-Invest. We now call upon the second speaker from the opposition team, Team Statin. Let's make him welcome, or them welcome. Let's make her welcome.
Good afternoon, esteemed adjudicators. My worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen, we firmly believe media outlets should not declare political allegiances. Transparency is not left at what you say. Here is a Jamaican proverb for you. Mouth make fi talk. Transparency is how information is collected and the degree to which the media keeps government and officials accountable. Transparency in the happenings of our country. My two reasons for this belief are protecting journalist safety and avoiding media and audience polarization. These arguments uphold the integrity and transparency my opponents claim to defend. Let us examine our first point. If news outlets declare political allegiances, journalists employed there will be at risk due to perceived individual alliances. This risk is especially significant in countries with a history of political volatility, like Jamaica. Many remember the dreadful civil unrest between opposing political forces in the late 1970s into the 1980s. According to a 1980 Washington Post article titled Jamaica's Political War, the streets of West Kingston were filled with burning debris, blockages, and graffiti threatening, "You are now entering JLP zone. All PNP keep out. Manly, Killer, Judas." Today's political landscape continues to present similar threats. How, you may ask? At a 2007 Jamaica political rally, alleged party supporters accused TVJ and CVM media workers of airing inaccurate reports. A CVM cameraman was hit by a missile and a TVJ cameraman by a water-filled bag. That was bad enough, but the continued assault from supporters forced media personnel to retreat. On September 3, 2023, a prominent PNP member misguidedly accused the nationwide news network of being, and I quote, "an incubator for the Jamaica Labour Party." 2 days later, the Press Association of Jamaica asked the PNP member to retract their statement, warning that such comments could endanger the nationwide news journalists. Just 5 days after the initial event, a gunman shot up the nationwide news network parking lot. My esteemed adjudicators, requiring media outlets to declare political allegiances will endanger journalists' lives. How will journalists and other media employees return home safely if they live in a garrison of the opposing political party? We at Team Statin firmly reiterate, media outlets should not be required to declare political allegiances. With this in mind, let us examine the risk of media polarization. Declaring political allegiances will pressure media entities to report news that aligns closely with their favorite political party, leading to media and audience polarization. What does this mean? According to a 2023 European Commission publication titled "The Media and Polarization in Europe," polarization is defined as the divergence of opinions to opposing ideological extremes. A perfect example of this would be us at Team Statin and our esteemed opponents who just cannot reach an agreement. Polarization leads the media to approach complex issues with black and white reasoning, stifling diverse perspectives and opportunities for compromise. Omission of key facts, selective reporting, and one-sided opinion pieces are how media entities will show favor for their preferred parties. Why does that matter? Media polarization will inevitably lead to societal polarization, media distrust, and perceived lack of integrity. We have seen this in the United States. Or is that fake news? Preventing media polarization matters because the Jamaican people deserve to be accurately informed about what is happening in our country. Who has the time to sift through JLP and PNP news sources searching for the truth? It shouldn't take Sherlock Holmes to know what is happening, why it is happening, and who is responsible. Jamaica's press freedom ranking is currently first in the Caribbean and 24th in the world, based on criteria such as media independence, self-censorship, and transparency. My opponents, so that you may understand, as a country, we have planted our seeds of journalistic integrity. We have tended our crops of journalistic transparency, and we are reaping the fruit of media credibility. Charge my opponents for attempting to commit predial larceny. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those remarks. Second speaker representing Statin, and I heard something about predial larceny there. I'm wondering, Agro-Invest? Yeah? You know about that? Indeed. Anyway, we're at an exciting juncture in our debate, the cross-questioning section. So this is how it's going to go. We're going to ask, first of all, the opposition team, Statin, to ask questions to the team from Proposition Agro-Invest. We'll have you do that for 5 minutes, and you will ask a question for 20 seconds, and of course your opponents will get a chance to respond for 45 seconds, and we'll alternate like that, all right? And then at the end of that 5-minute section, then we'll go to, we'll alternate, allowing that privilege of question asking, we'll allow that privilege to be had by team Proposition, all right? All right, so I know you know the rules. I really am speaking for my viewing and listening audience. Okay, so we're ready? Yes? Okay, so at this time, let me just confirm that we have the timer set. All right, so at this time I invite the team opposition to ask, oh sorry, team opposition, you can ask the questions of team proposition.
Okay, thank you, Chief Judge. I would like to ask my opponent, how would a media entity such as the Hajar Communications Group benefit from declaring their political allegiance?
Is the mic working? Good afternoon. As with the other newscasting entities, it will benefit from transparency, as well as with the public. The public can measure their they can scrutinize their information and see and measure their level of skewedness in regards to journalism.
Okay.
It was answered.
Can you add?
So you can consume the whole 45 seconds.
Yeah?
So what's happening? You've used your 45 seconds, finished?
No, I wanted to speak, but they said not to speak, so I don't understand.
Continue to speak, sorry. You can continue, sorry.
Yes, so
Oh, sorry,
You know
your
that
45 seconds have finished. Go ahead with the next question.
no, the man told me.
Huh? Sorry about that, all right? Just leave it there. All right.
As a follow-up question to our worthy opponents, would you agree that media entities are in business to make a profit? How would it be for such a conglomerate of different media entities? How would they function, having declared an allegiance and having their audience and listenership being split?
Yes, the most profitable media companies in the world are partisan. So Rupert Murdoch with Sky News and Fox News, CNN, which is owned by Time Warner, is extremely profitable. Now you have organizations like the Associated Press, which is a non-profit organization, but they're completely impartial, right? So that shows that in order to increase revenues as a company, as a media company, you develop a partisan position.
Do you think a JLP loyalist would trust a PNP news source? Explain how the declaration builds trust.
Based on your question, that is a matter of a personal note, because that is on an individual basis, and we're looking at entities and not individual basis. Again, we look at the media entities and not the journalist itself.
But you would agree, though, that based on our present political landscape, that we have two-sided, and so it would affect the listenership of the media entity.
I can state that Jamaica has a better political landscape now. Both the JLP and the PNP are actually living better from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s compared to those periods. We're actually doing better right now.
My worthy opponent, would that be the reason why that media entity's parking lot was shut up?
I would like to take this one. What proof do you have that it was politically aligned? One, and well, I should not be asking the question, but I would like to state that we, as the individuals, we don't know if it was politically aligned. It's still investigation, one. And two, the newscast did not politically stated their alliance with the political party. It's mere assumptions.
You may ask another question, Statin.
Again, in your presentations, I don't understand how can transparency, though, about the media entity declaring their political allegiance help to reduce the matter of political violence that we have here in Jamaica?
Political violence is not tied to the media entity declaring their political allegiance. Political violence is tied to individuals and not entities itself. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite a round of applause. At this time, I invite the team from Agro-Invest, Team Proposition, to pose questions now to Team Statin.
Good afternoon again, everyone. To our worthy opponents, I'd like to ask what was the relevance of the CMU point? Second speaker.
The relevance of the CMU point, which was from the first speaker, Maritime Institute,
Yes,
right?
it was from the
It
second.
was to show how investigative journalism presented the matter from all angles, unshielded. The media presented the information that citizens needed to know. That was the reason for the point.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, how can you say that it's impartial? What proof do you have that it's impartial? Aside from them just not making a declaration, there's an assumption that it's impartial, but it's not necessarily the case.
The fact that this story came out on the government, the governing party at the time, and most of the persons involved were of the governing side, then it shows a level of investigation, it shows a level of transparency, it shows a level that the media entity wanted to inform the public of what is happening and keeping.
All right, so I believe it was the first speaker that would have spoken about credibility. And I wanted to get your, other than I believe you had given maybe one example, why do you believe that their credibility will be jeopardized if they declare their allegiance, political allegiance?
the fact that we don't know. I mean, everybody in Jamaica has a bias, right? But it is not publicly declared. And so, based on your own credibility, you don't want to put your credibility online. You want to show or send messages that you're putting forward in an unbiased, unedited way, so that the public can understand everything from the different perspectives.
But my worthy opponents would not, if the media entity publicly declare their political allegiance, would not the public be in a better position to measure their level of skewedness in the information that they disseminate?
My worthy opponents, you would have made mention of the fourth estate. And no reasonable person can play two sides. Therefore, in being the fourth estate and holding political parties accountable and upholding freedom of speech, media entities should not declare political allegiance, as this will corrupt their view as individuals and the information that is presented to citizens.
So therefore, my worthy opponents, you are concurring with me that two-face can't hold under one hat.
We are not concurring that with you, my worthy opponents. What we are putting forth is that to declare political allegiance will see media entities not being able to play their role under the fourth estate that you mentioned and being watchdogs of democracy and holding political parties and powers accountable.
All right. I would have noted that in a recent study that we would have seen that they said that 10% is what persons have in regards to media trust. Do you agree with that statement? No, I'm saying in my presentation, I would have noted that there's an exceptionally low trust in society in regards to media and also the population trust in fellow citizens or institutions. Do you agree with that statement?
What's the source of that?
That's Bourne, Beckford, and Duncan in regards to...
Please respond.
We asked what is the source of that information?
Okay, thank you. We're out of time, unfortunately. We'd love to probe that matter a little bit more, but we're out of time. All right, so we're going to now pause, ladies and gentlemen, for 1 minute to allow you to refresh yourselves, gather your thoughts, and at the end of the 1 minute, we will resume with the presentation from the reply speakers, beginning with the opposition reply speaker first. Your 1 minute begins now. So this is opposition, right? Finish addressing the issue. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the dinging of the bell signals that your 1 minute has expired. We now resume our debate with the presentation from the reply speaker on team opposition, team Statin. Let's make that speaker welcome. Hear, hear.
Good afternoon, esteemed judges, my worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here to reinforce the points put forward by my teammates opposing media entities declaring their political allegiance. Let me ask a question. Who benefits from media entities declaring their political allegiance? Let me answer that for you. No one. no one, absolutely no one benefits from a media entity declaring their political allegiance. Let me take the opportunity to remind you why no one stands to benefit from a media entity or any media entities whatsoever declaring their political allegiance. Democracy will come under siege. Economic viability comes under pressure. Transparency dwindled. Journalistic safety is at risk. Credibility of and in the media comes under fire. Allow me to quote from a Junior Chamber International tenet in their creed. Economic justice can best be won by free men through free enterprise. And on that note, media entities should not declare their political allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, our research has revealed that formal declaration of political allegiance by media entities are not a common regulatory requirement globally. It is generally understood that such declaration could undermine journalistic objectivity and the perceived independence of the press. So let us proceed cautiously. Be mindful of the pragmatic consideration accompanying the proposition. Let us defend press freedom, not only as a moral imperative, but also as an economic necessity, essential for the vitality of our media ecosystem and the health of our democracy. Maintaining impartiality and independence of the media is crucial for a healthy democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, my worthy opponents, Jamaica has come a long way in our democracy. We have made significant strides in press freedom and are working to eradicate political tribalism. Let us not regress on these gains. Asking media entities to declare their political allegiance. Instead, let's consider the safety of our journalists who work tirelessly to bring the truth. They already face immense pressure and risk. Let us not add to their burdens by forcing them to navigate politically charged environments that could compromise their safety and integrity. Our journalists deserve our support and the protection, not added scrutiny and danger. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the third speaker from the opposition team representing Team Statin. To conclude our debate, I now call upon the reply speaker from Team Agro-Invest. Let's make that speaker welcome.
Yes, afternoon. Thank you for everybody attending. Thank you to our esteemed judges here. Thank you for our team. Our opposition team for coming. So there's a number of points that I saw from the opposition that I found a bit odd. So, for example, how can you prove that the media is not impartial when it's not declared? Of course, somebody can be partial, can be partisan without declaring it. The only way that this can be proved is if they provide an empirical support, which they should be fairly aware of this, as they are Statin and they're all about empirical data and analysis, right? So that's strange to see. So a few other points that were noted that I find to be quite odd, as it was noted that the state is compromised if private media houses have political allegiance, right? So if it's not state-sponsored, then it can't be captured by the state, right? So these are just a few points I wanted to make. So the whole spine of our argument concerned public trust and accountability concerning the fourth estate. So our populace has grown tired of being misled by our institutions, by somebody actually coming forth and being honest concerning what the actual position is. That will be something that's refreshing to the population, as it's something, as usually a lot of these things are ensconced in things that are nebulous, that are difficult to see. So we must really take our time to rebuild the trust that we've been speaking to by noting, by private entities being able to actually show their political allegiance. So if we want this better future for Jamaica, we need transparency, we need honesty within public spaces like media institutions. That is critical. Having media entities that are brave enough to actually be honest and actually to show that, okay, this is our political position, so you can assess our news based on that, instead of it being in the dark, right? So it's that transparency, showing honesty and showing that bravery that the information that's being communicated does have a partisan position, right? But we want to make it clear to you that that's the case so that you can make a proper assessment of the information. So let's hope that this can be done and that this can set a precedent for others to be inspired, right, to actually release what their true feelings are and their true positions are for their organizations. So in order for us to truly move forward and to rebuild the country, we have to truly be brave and be locked into being honest, right, and being transparent with our feelings, right? And the media houses are the critical entities for doing that, as they're the ones that inform the public. So thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much for concluding the case on behalf of your team and the debate overall. Ladies and gentlemen, we as judges will now depart to reflect and deliberate on the arguments that you've provided. We'll return shortly with the results.
Okay, thank you so much, Jermaine. Thank you so much, teams. Give them a round of applause again, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, the arguments have been made by the Agro-Invest Corporation and Statin on the Moot. Be it resolved that media entities should publicly declare their political allegiance. Judges will now deliberate, as Jermaine just said, and we will refresh ourselves. For those of you online, stay tuned for the winners. The next voice you will hear will be the adjudicators. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just concluded another match in round 1 of the public sector debate competition, and it was a thoroughly enthralling and exciting contest. We had in this match the team from Agro-Invest on proposition, and in opposition we had Statin. We think they did well enough, deserving of a round of applause. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what were they talking about? They're talking about whether or not recognizing that media has biases, should the media disclose their political biases? And that was the question up for discussion for the debate. We heard from Team Agro-Invest that the public has an inherent and intrinsic right to know. And they have a right to know such that the media should provide them with the information. The media, interestingly, being the fourth estate, an aspect of the society tasked with providing information, credible, balanced information, right? Those are the kinds of consensus, the points of consensus coming from both teams. Now, what we also were seeking to hear, and we heard bits and pieces of it from the adjudication panel, we heard ideas surrounding the utility of people knowing. The team Agro-Invest told us that people knowing will help people to build and to develop greater confidence in the media entities that are reporting to them. That people can make informed decisions about the media entities that they listen to, and that ultimately people can apply the rigors of their mind in analyzing information because they know that the information is being presented to them with a certain bias, and so they can, to offset that bias, they can engage in deeper, more critical analysis of the information. Team Statin contested and told us that there are several fundamental harms that would result. Harm number 1, that the media entities will lose revenue. We found that this was quite an interesting idea. We thought, though, that that was not as deeply and thoroughly developed as other ideas coming to us from Team Statin, in terms of explaining to us how necessarily media entities lose income. But we felt that we got more compelling arguments surrounding the harms to media houses, and we got examples, for example, about media personnel or personalities from prominent Jamaican media houses being harmed, media houses being labeled and ultimately suffering violent attacks and so forth. And so they contended that this is going to be far greater and far more elevated, the rate and the propensity, the intensity of these kinds of incidences. Interestingly, Team Agro-Invest tells us that there is not a causal connection between these acts of violence and the declaration or the identification of media entities as being politically aligned. And we thought that that was an interesting pushback from Team Agro-Invest. The final point I'll comment on before we disclose what it is you want me to tell you, the winning team and, of course, the best speaker. We wanted to understand, as the debate went on, what is the net benefit to the most important stakeholders in the debate, the citizenry, the public at large. And we felt that the team that proved that there is or is not a net benefit is necessarily the team that wins the debate. Ladies and gentlemen, in a fairly high-scoring match, one team ending 237 points to another team's 268 points. So the margin was significant between the two teams. The winner of this match in the first round of this competition is Team Opposition Statin. Wow, Statin, you brought your crowd. Wow, that was intense. All right, but of course, not to be outdone. Let me hear it for Team Agro-Invest. I love the energy. I love the excitement, even for the team that placed second. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the next important announcement, the best debater. And we felt as judges, all three of us agreed that this speaker was unquestionably the best debater in terms of the content and the impact of the argumentation brought by him or her in this debate. That speaker is the second speaker from Team Statin. So talk about a gender reveal, right? We know it's a female. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for entertaining us and informing us, teams. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And to you, our viewing audience, we hope, in fact, we know you loved it, all right? So join us next time for the next match in the Public Sector Debate Competition 2024. Thank you.